So picture this. The year is 2004. You're 10 or 12 or 14 or something with nothing to do, and your GameCube just stopped working. You're bored out of your mind. And all of a sudden, your brother or uncle or dad or sister or mom, who knows, the world's getting pretty progressive right about now, walks in and drops this by your VCR. Pride, you think? What the hell could that be? You've heard of MMA offhandedly by now, but it's illegal in most states, and given the fans at the time, you probably wouldn't be able to go. You pop it in and see this.
He's gonna go. He's got to get out. Try. Oh, Dan! I told you he picked him up and slid up to the reserve.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first of the Pride Series for the 21st century.
I mean, I hear people, and I hear fighters, and I hear fans of fighting always bringing up Pride. Do you guys even know what Pride is?
Pride was a different beast.
It was crazy. Like after that slam, I got so popular in Japan. I got so popular in Japan that the Yakuza, the head boss, wanted to meet me, and I went and met with the Yakuza, right?
You know, of course you're supposed to fight this guy and that guy, man. You know, to work your way up. You know, and it's like you're what do you expect? You're just a prostitute or you're just a stripper or like what the fuck? You know, over here it's like you're a fighter and they don't look down on you for it, and there's all kinds of respect, and you know they call you Mr. Nick Diaz, and it's nice. You know, it feels nice.
Fact of the matter is, though, you probably weren't one of these fans. I wasn't even conscious to experience it. The sad reality is, an entire generation of MMA fans has been raised without the existence of Pride, only knowing about it through the passing conversations of old heads. Even then, though, if you were to talk to any fan, young or old, about Pride, they speak as if it were some sort of ancient spectacle, gladiatorial combat filled with prestige and allure. Why is that, though? And if it were so special, why the hell did it die out? You can't really talk about Pride without talking about Japanese sports in the 70s and 80s. And you can't really talk about Japanese sports in the 70s and 80s without talking about pro wrestling. After World War II, Japan was in physical and financial disarray, quickly trying to recoup from devastating battles in their own homeland. United States occupation brought about a lot of things, whether they were accepted or not. Food, architecture, electronics, and cultural influences flooded the country. Baseball just touched down in it. Osamu Tezuka was just starting the Astro Boy after being influenced by United States animation. Fucking ramen noodles became a thing because Japanese people don't like bread. Despite nuclear fallout and a crippled economy, Japan was recovering quickly by the end of the 1950s. And mass production and cultural norms made television a regular commodity in Japanese and American homes alike. In the midst of this, professional wrestling gained immense popularity in Japan. Former judo and sumo athletes like Kenta Kobashi or Mitsuhiro Momota were switching their professions entirely and becoming mainstream stars from the new form of entertainment. It wasn't just about athleticism and competition. It became a form of entertainment, of storytelling, and larger-than-life characters captivating audiences. Pro wrestling laid the foundation for what would later become the unique spectacle of pride fighting. In the 70s and 80s, Japan witnessed a surge in interest in combat sports thanks to the theatrical and captivating nature of pro wrestling. This cultural backdrop set the stage for the emergence of Pride in the 90s. Stars like Antonio Inoki became national heroes and cultural icons in the country. Speaking of Inoki, given his meteoric popularity in Japan, he ended up fighting this guy. You might know him. He was pretty good. And one of the first mixed-ruled bouts the world has ever seen. The match showed holes in the traditional boxing that Westerners had grown accustomed to, as seeing the purest form of combat, and opened questions as to what could truly be considered the most effective art form. This question would linger in the minds of Americans and Japanese alike until the founding of Pancrase in 1993. Pancrase, in reality, kind of set the groundwork for Pride. In an attempt to create non-scripted fights with the same pageantry and panache as pro wrestling, founders Masakatsu Funaki and Minoru Suzuki established one of the world's first Vale Tudo leagues, promising real fights with real outcomes. Being a primitive form of MMA, Vale Tudo, Portuguese for anything goes, truly lived up to its name, with virtually anything aside from bites and scratches being fair game. Fighters could fight without gloves, throw soccer kicks, or knee grounded opponents, and refs wouldn't bat an eye. Shortly after, a small new company, with the help of a certain Brazilian family, would go about creating their own tournament with similar rules, calling it the Ultimate Fighting Championship. In a beef that honestly is deserving of its own video, the Gracie family champion Hickson would fight Nobuhiko Takada after winning both the 1994 and 1995 Vale Tudo Opens in Japan. In a match set up by Hiromichi Momose, Naoto Morishita, and Nobuyuki Sakakibara, giving birth to an entirely new organization, Pride FC. The first show was a meteoric success, attracting over 40,000 fans to the Tokyo Dome and reportedly putting up incredible numbers on Japanese television. Pride hit Japanese pop culture by storm, with fans immediately asking for more of the pageantry, artistry, and sheer violence that the promotion promised. Signing an exclusivity deal with Fuji TV and broadcasting internationally with pay-per-view, Pride quickly took over pro wrestling as the dominant form of combat entertainment in Japan. And with American mixed martial arts slowly entering its dark ages, as lawmakers kept moving to outlaw the sport, they quickly became the most dominant sports league in the world, aside from maybe boxing and being rivaled only by their Japanese counterpart in kickboxing K1.
When I was like 21, my friend from college, from high school actually, fucking got me into the sport, you know what I'm saying? He took me to the sport and to the show and showed me, you know what I'm saying, what was going on. I didn't know anything about it. I never heard about the UFC or Pride or anything at this point. I never heard about anything. I'm fresh out of college, and he took me to a show, and these wrestlers out there kicking ass. I was like, damn, you can get paid for kicking ass and you don't go to jail? Sign me up. And fucking 2 months later, I was fighting, dog.
First Pride Grand Prix in 2000 saw the then former UFC champion, Mark Coleman, win as the league's first true champion and first time entering the United States market through pay-per-view, becoming an instant success and allowing for new deals to be made with American media. It was around here that Pride finally became more about the fights than the event itself, with top-tier fighters from all over the world coming forward to see who was the best in the sport. Future UFC champions like Rampage Jackson, Shogun Rua, Anderson Silva, and so many more would step into the ring to test their mettle and gain star power, quickly becoming icons of the sport. Matchmaking was also definitely a huge reason why the fights gained so much attention. It was more than just pitting two fighters against each other. It was an art form that blended skill, style, and storytelling. Pride had a knack for creating matchups that not only showcased the technical prowess of the fighters, but also fueled the excitement and anticipation among fans. The meticulous matchmaking often led to clashes between contrasting fighting styles, resulting in dynamic bouts and just completely unpredictable outcomes. Whether it was a clash between a striker and a grappler, or the meeting of two legends in their prime, Pride's matchmaking added a layer of intrigue to the sport. Freak show fights also became huge. Fights like Minowa vs. Butterbean, or Fedor vs. Zulinzinho, or Nogueira vs. Bob Sapp, or Don Fry vs. Yoshihiro Takayama were ridiculous in nature but quickly became instant classics to this day. Pride events weren't just about the fights though. They were spectacles filled with drama, emotion, and unpredictability. The iconic Pride entrances, the intimidating stare-downs, and the roar of the crowd in the massive arenas created an electric atmosphere that captivated fans worldwide. Pride was more than just a sport. It was entertainment at its finest.
Congratulations, we'll see you in May.
Thanks, man. Mackenzie, Morgan, Daddy's coming home. I love you, man. This is for you, my family, and the few fans that put a little cash on me. All right. And the ones you dumbasses bet your house, too bad. I told you not to bet the house. Don't ever bet the house against me. Enough said.
As Pride entered the mid-2000s, it seemed to have reached its zenith. The events continued to draw massive crowds and the fighters achieved legendary status. Pride had successfully created a global platform for mixed martial arts, the first of its kind, pushing the boundaries of what combat sports could be and giving influence to what they would later become today. But the rise to the top was not without challenges. Pride faced criticism and skepticism, especially for allegations of fight fixing and Yakuza connections. These controversies, along with financial troubles, cast a shadow over the organization's success. Multiple fighters, whether they be established legends of the sport or relative no-names, have been reported to have told to throw fights against Japanese fighters or change their style entirely in order to appease fans.
They pulled names out of the head of who fight who.
Oh,
it was a lie. They already
pre-bracketed.
Yeah, but they told the fans like they put a.
It's random.
Yeah.
The organization's initial financial backing from the enigmatic Phantom of Pride, Momose, set the stage for a rocky journey as well. Momose, with a background as an intellectual gangster, played a significant role in the early days, but his ties to the Yakuza would later spark internal conflict. Momose would subsequently be removed from the board of Pride, but his removal solidified the influence of Sakibara Nishizaka. Yakuza involvement in Pride wasn't isolated though, it only mirrored the control that Yakuza factions had over Japan at the time, especially the entertainment sector. The Yakuza's grip extended beyond Pride, influencing negotiations, fighter transfers, and even funding entertainment ventures. The cutthroat negotiations involving threats and alliances with Yakuza factions painted a super ugly picture for Pride, and it's more than likely that was involved for its downfall.
Apparently they were owned by the Yakuza, which is the Japanese mafia, the Japanese mob, whatever you want to call them, but they were often ringside, armed up, some very, very nasty people. But they knew how to put on a good fight, that's for sure.
In the midst of all these power struggles, Pride faced one of the biggest blows in its history with the signing of its champion, Fedor Emelianenko, by Antonio Inoki's new promotion, the IGF. The ensuing conflict between Sakakibara and Ishizaka with Inoki's group led to public confrontations and threats. Fuji TV, in response to the scandal, cancelled Pride in 2006, triggering a chain of events that would culminate in the UFC buying Pride's assets in 2007. The Yakuza scandal tainted Pride's name, making it toxic in the eyes of potential partners and sponsors. Despite initial aspirations of creating a global MMA empire, the UFC, who was already facing difficulties associated with Pride's tarnished reputation, eventually abandoned the idea. Pride's lights were shut out in October 2007, marking the end of an era in Japanese MMA. The death of Pride left a void in the MMA world. Fans were left with memories of epic battles, larger-than-life personalities, in an era that would never be replicated ever again. Pride's impact on the sport was profound, influencing the evolution of MMA and paving the way for future organizations to learn from both its successes and its failures. So, why does Pride continue to hold a special place in the heart of MMA fans, even those who never witnessed it live like me? It's more than just nostalgia. It's about the magic of an era when martial arts, entertainment, and spectacle met to create something truly extraordinary. The story of Pride remains etched in the history of MMA, a chapter that will forever be remembered as a time when the arrow of Pride flew high, leaving an indelible mark on the canvas of combat sports, forever. And that's why when people say, Pride never dies, they're really not wrong. Thank you.